Good morning. Good morning. It's Tuesday, October 15th, and this is an open door. We are doing our usual Tuesday Course in Miracles daily lesson. Today we are looking at lesson 5, and I'm excited to see what everyone makes of this lesson, because we're really starting to turn inward now and watch how the mind works. So I'm going to do my usual request or invitation for you to turn your video off until we just go through this lesson together. We'll sit for about 5 minutes and I will guide us through that and time that. So I'll turn my video off as well. And just sit comfortably and be where you are. And just listen and follow along and have your experience. Lesson 5. Nothing I see means anything. I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. I do not understand anything I see. My thoughts do not mean anything. And because my thoughts don't mean anything, and I am always upset by my thoughts, Lesson 5 tells us I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. Notice this lesson doesn't say, sometimes I'm upset for the reasons I think, and it doesn't say, often. It says never. I am never upset for the reasons I think. This is actually a lovely lesson in freedom. I am never upset for the reason I think. Just breathe that in. All the reasons I give to my upsets are not what I think they are. We could ask, who is the I that is thinking here now? I am never upset for the reasons I think. But for now, just let the brain relax and let reasoning go, let thinking go, and just rest in not knowing. Nothing I see means anything. I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. I do not understand anything I see. My thoughts do not mean anything. I am never upset for the reason I think. Most of us spend all day, each day, reacting to events that we perceive to be outside of us. She said that. He did this. They are responsible for my upset because of what they did or said or what happened. And the personal mind says, oh, good. Because if they are responsible, that frees me up to react as the victim. Is that true? Wait a minute. What does it actually free me of? Does it free me of suffering? No. Does it free me of the illusion of the world? No. Does it solve the problem? No. Today, you're asked to look a bit more closely at the things that upset you, that turn your world upside down, that disturb your peace, or that take you from your center of knowing. You are encouraged to be aware in each moment when you notice you feel off or stressed or unhappy or just plain disgruntled about what is in front of you. You are not asked to make the upset go away or to pretend it isn't there. You are not asked to judge upsetting thoughts or yourself for noticing the thoughts. The thought or the feeling or the sensation is there. Allow it. Let its energy move in your awareness. See it, but don't allow the egoic mind to claim it, do something with it, or judge it. Today, just notice the thoughts that give you any upset, any sense of lack. This noticing itself is the holy instant. Take it. This pause, this stillness, it's free. It's spacious. It's open. It's not showing you what you are. It's inviting you to decide in the holy instant what you are not. I am never upset for the reason I think. I don't have to figure out why I'm upset. I just allow that I recognize I'm upset, and then I relax into not knowing. So let's sit with this for 5 minutes. Let's take a pause and sink into stillness. If a thought of upset arises, notice it. If nothing arises, that's fine too. But if something does arise, you can say to yourself, I'm not angry at Jane or Rick or Sally for the reasons I think. I'm not annoyed at the world, my spouse, the pile of laundry for the reasons I think. And I'm not afraid or worried about the world or politics or my mortgage or my bank account for the reason I think. And remember, there are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to your peace of mind. And they are all equally invitations to take the holy instant and decide, what am I not? Relax, and I will let us know when the 5-minute mark is up. Enjoy. Gently, slowly become more aware of your breathing, more aware of being in the body. Like yourself. Be happy with yourself. And when you're ready, come on back and join us. How was that? Did anyone learn anything new or rediscover or confirm anything that you already know? Rana,
Good morning.
good morning.
That was delicious. Thank you. I just love how when we get together, there's always a practice that kind of comes to light. And I love your voice. So it's just so gentle and simple. Feeling upset? What am I thinking? You know, it's so simple. Just notice. Take the holy instant, relax into not knowing. Because what I found during this practice was this time together was as the words, I am never upset for the reason I think, is rolling through. There's another thread voice saying, well, what is the reason? Right? It wants to know. I mean, what's the solution to this? But the idea is to take all of this very slowly and allow the lesson to do me or undo me, but the mind wants like all 25 right now, boom, 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 give me the answer. So that was just another thing that I noticed and didn't judge, even though the ego was definitely judging. But there's a softness behind it. Yeah, of that non-judgmental awareness. Like, all right, you go ahead and tell me that, it doesn't matter. So thank you very much. I'm going to carry this with me today. Grateful to be here.
When Rana asked me to do the 12 stepping today, I said, yes, I'll do that. And what we're going to talk about is craving. And one of our cravings is to know. We want to know. We want to be able to package the thought up and put it over here and then have another thought about it. Have a thought about a thought about a thought. That's how we go down the rabbit hole. We just want to know. And these upsets are so subtle, aren't they? They're like little whiffs of smoke sometimes. Sometimes it's like a brick hitting you, but other times it's like a little, almost a gentle nudge. Oh, I just don't like that. And we don't even notice. Cindy sun's coming up. I can see in your eyes. Yep.
Yep. I'm having a hard time seeing, but as long as you can see me, I won't move yet. I couldn't find an upset, so there was that. But what I wanted to say out loud, as everything's sort of intermixing with everything, one of the things I was listening to Guy Finley last night and again this morning in preparation for Thursday, and it's sort of all intermixing because one of the things I believe I heard him say is that this thinking mind works very, very hard to interpret the current world based on what it already knows. And I was sitting with that during this practice, and I agree, Amy. When you read these lessons like that, I get something just gets quiet and still, and I get transported into another reality. But where I am now with that is just the recognition that that dream character's mind insists that it has to use what it already knows to interpret the current world, right, wrong, or indifferent. And the secret sauce is being willing not to know. And even behind that, being willing to trust the benevolence of the universe, perhaps. So whenever I'm upset, can I trust, regardless of how real it feels in this moment, there's a correction required, and make it that simple? And it felt to me that Guy was pointing to all of that, how that our current, I think he was calling it all these infinite number of different consciousnesses. So his use of languaging was a little different than mine. But if this current level of consciousness is filled with a certain belief about what is being seen, it distorts everything. So if I can be willing to accept that upset is always because of a distortion, and if I'm willing not to know, then the correction can happen. Is that, am I clear?
Absolutely. And that actually brings us into lesson 6, which we'll do next week. But, you know, nothing I see means anything. So if nothing I see means anything, then I'm never upset for the reasons I think. If I've given everything I see and nothing I see means anything, all the meaning it has for me, then how can I possibly be upset for any reason that I truly know? If I don't understand anything I see, how can I be upset for something and know what that is? And if my thoughts don't mean anything, and it's my thoughts that tell me that I'm upset, it's my thoughts about X or Y. If my thoughts don't mean anything, how can I know why I'm upset? How can I understand the reason that I'm upset? And yet, as Cindy said, the mind wants to know. And it takes everything it thinks it knows based on past experience. And then it just latches onto it and lands with a thud and says, this is why I'm upset. And you've done this before. And I've told you before that this upsets me, and yet you still do it. And I should have known that. So I'm now upset with myself because I'm not practicing these things correctly. And God forbid that I don't know how to practice, or what my next thought will be, or how the afternoon will unfold. Living with not knowing requires an amount of courage that most of us are barely in touch with. Barely in touch with. Because if my thoughts don't mean anything and I'm never upset for the reasons I think, then I don't know anything. I don't know what anything is for, and I don't know why I'm here. And in many respects, I don't know what I am. So, as Rana said about trust, allowing the world to unfold and being present and participating in it by letting it be what it is, that requires trust. And that's when our minds open and we actually perceive, just for a little bit, the truth. And the more we do that, the more often we perceive the truth, or bits of the truth, or colors of the truth, or shapes of the truth, or we sense or feel the truth in us. We give ourselves the opportunity, right, to know what I am through knowing what I'm not, right? I am not this upset. I am not required to know what the upset is all about. And so these feelings move through us as emotion, which is just energy, as thoughts, which are just energy, sometimes very comfortable, sometimes not comfortable. We don't have to know jack about what they are. We just notice and allow. And when we let the emotion or the thought with all of its energy move through, and we stay in center field, don't we notice I have more energy? I have less tiredness in my body. Why is that? Because thought
Someone want to tell her? You might want to turn your video off, Amy.
we don't waste any energy resisting them. They actually energize. Sandra, come to the head of the table.
Thank you, Amy.
Mhm.
I've done this course many times, and today when I sat with it, I couldn't find an upset. That was so lovely. And everything you said resonates, but I also wanted to laugh. Like, I'm also starting to laugh at really inappropriate times. And it just comes bubbling out like, yeah, I remember that. That was ridiculous. I mean, I remember feeling that way. And the other thing that's happening that is so, I liked Rana's word delicious.
Mm-hmm.
because you can taste it. I'm not, I don't feel like I want to know anymore the answer. I'm liking not knowing. I'm actually loving not knowing. Because not knowing is complete freedom to me. It feels so free after years and decades of being the one who knows the right way, which I had that, and people would come to me for answers and line up outside my door for answers. And wow, it's like, I love not knowing. I love saying, I don't know. It's it's like perfect peace. And it does come with a radical acceptance of it's okay that I don't know. And I don't know how it happened or if it happened gradually or if it's still, or who knows, maybe this afternoon I won't feel that way. I don't know. But right now, in this moment, that's how I feel. And I love it. I love it. I also love that the lesson says there are no small upsets and big upsets, that they're all the same. That was a good pointer for me in practicing the course. So that's where I am.
I love it. I think it's great. You are becoming established in not knowing and established in the I am.
And it's ironic that the ego wants so much to, the ego, the illusion wants the exact opposite of what is best for it too. You know what?
The egoic mind wants to know because it's separated from its source, right? It needs to know because it's decided that it created itself. Right?
And I have compassion for that person. I have compassion for that person who wanted to know, who tried so hard, so, but now I feel free.
Yes, and as you've reminded us often, Sandra, you've been really great at keeping us on track to remember that the egoic mind is created out of consciousness.
Yes.
And so having compassion for the fear and mistrust and confusion of the ego is actually loving yourself, your big S self, as the consciousness that created the ego, or it didn't get created, that made it and believed in it and got lost in it for a while. Right?
Yeah.
And that's why our function is forgiveness in the Course in Miracles. That's our function here, because only through forgiveness can we undo, and whatever forgiveness means to you, it's always undoing shame and blame and guilt. It's always undoing that. So thank you.
Yeah, and I would just add one word to the arrogance of the ego. I have a lot of arrogance. But I can laugh. I mean, I laugh about it now. I just love the lightheartedness of the truth.
It's freedom, isn't it? Yep. Marana.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, from your writing, there's a sentence that says, each upset is a form of resistance to what is in front of you. So that is just following this idea of what is seen is what is. And then any upset is just trying to deny what is in front of me at any particular second. You know, the only upset that arose as we were doing that, because I opened to a place of honesty. It was like, show me any upset, because I'm feeling pretty hoity-toity, right? But, you know, be getting honest, you know, my mom is a source of that. When I see her, right, that's when those thoughts start and the upset arises. And so it's just a lack of acceptance about what is, you know, and what is. It's the form it's in. The form is the form, you know. There's something here that says it has to be different, needs to be changed, something needs to be figured out and fixed. Can I make her better? You know, and that's just that old exhausting. You guys were talking about the energy, you know, it's exhausting listening to the thinking mind. And that's why I feel like a sense of freedom when I get in that space that Sandra's talking about. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to know. I don't need to fix anything. It's okay just the way it is. She's fine. She's fine. You know? Thank you.
I love us. This, this community is just such a beautiful thing. Watching all of us expand and deepen our understanding of this work. And it's not really work, it's freedom. It's understanding and deepening our freedom. I want to just say, oh, Livy, come to the head of the table. Good morning. Unmute yourself, my dear.
Good morning, Dadgum. I'm so glad to be with y'all this morning. I had something come up yesterday and I wasn't able to be with y'all and I missed it so badly. And, you know, just to piggyback, Amy, on what you were just saying for me, because there's a lot of the meetings I'm not able to attend and I listen to the playbacks and I have commented on them as well. I am so incredibly grateful for this safe space to explore these things, and that there's truly no judgment. Everybody, I feel, is free to be and to say what is on their mind, and the feedback is, it's just beautiful, and everything comes from love, or that's what I feel on these meetings. Everything anybody says is coming from a place of love. And I'm just so grateful for this safe space that has been created and continues to, grow and evolve. It's just so I'm so incredibly grateful. And, Rana and I were talking yesterday. I'm so grateful that I have this community to help me process experiences that I had, around 30 years ago. And one of those experiences, I had a friend that I'd met through the Theosophical Society, and we would do vision quests, meaning we would do hallucinogens and read texts, some spiritual text or whatever. And at one point he was expressing something, and he stood up and he said, and he started doing his arms like this, and he said, see, we're connected to everything. And I could see it. I could see the energy in form, and it just was. And so I'm grateful to have that visual that I can go to really recognize that I am this wall, this count, I'm connected to all this stuff and I'm just this open space. It's just, there is no thought. It's just this open space. And lately I've just been imagining myself because I have stayed ever since in my late teens, my solar plexus, everything always on guard and defense mode. And to feel all that softening and kind of getting the soft belly that I'm willing to lay on my back and show that soft belly. And I'm looking forward to journaling for things that are coming up, the old blocks. I'm grateful that I understand when I feel a contraction that it's a blocked energy and to be able to sit with that. And I'm very grateful for Rana in my life, helping me understand and process the energy as it comes through and just recognizing it's just energy and there's a block right there. And I don't have to give that any meaning. I don't have to give that, oh, this is what's happened. And the ego wants to jump in and fix it, which just makes it constrict more. And so I just am so incredible, these lessons are just, and to piggyback on our friend, it's just delicious, and I just absolutely love this community. I love y'all so much, and I'm incredibly grateful for everybody and just for this wonderful space that we all can come and just be and without judgment and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I love in particular this lesson. I will definitely be taking it into work today. So anyway, thank y'all so much. I am so full of gratitude and I love each and every one of you, just bushel and a peck. Thank you.
That was so nice, Livy. Thank you. And we hope you have a great day at work.
Thank you very much.
I want to say something more about strong feelings or emotions, strong thoughts, strong energy in the body. Without getting into the territory of I know, I'm staying in the territory of I don't know. But it does seem that energy and frequency I'm going to get myself in trouble here. The more energy we can hold, the more we're able to experience. The more we're able to experience, the more we are able to know. It's almost as if we are expanding our sense of big S self. So when we have an upset and we can do what Livy said and allow it to move, then we do notice that we feel energized. It's almost as if the emotion or the upset, if we allow it to come in and move through it, it's almost a cleansing. And that may not be the exact right word, but what we feel after it's moved, it's risen and then it's ebbed and it's moved out. And look, I'm still here in my knowing. Here I am. There's a sense of spaciousness that comes with that. And as we grow and we anchor, as Sandra is showing us, as we anchor in these teachings, in this knowing, greater and greater amounts of energy will be called to us and will move through us, and we will expand even more in our knowing. So the more energy that we can hold and move or allow, we don't move it. The more energy that can come through and move through, the more healing we do. Because we're not shutting it down. The more we're letting it flow out and through. Sandra.
That's beautifully said, Amy. And the example that came to my mind, and I know this is true for women, and I feel bad for men that they can't do it, but when we just let ourselves cry, let ourselves weep. I remember a time when I was trying to stop myself from crying, and I just let it go. And I said, I'm just going to cry all day if I have to. At the end of the day, I was cleansed. But the word cleansed is such a good word. And that was without trying to do any practice or anything. I mean, I just let myself cry. I let myself feel the sadness. And it was an energetic thing. And then I cried and cried and just let itself out. So I sometimes tell my husband, why don't you just let yourself cry? You know,
Yeah.
he can't do it. But I thought that was an example of what you were saying.
Thank you. It is. And I think mothers will tell their children don't cry, and fathers will tell their children don't cry. So we shut it down. You notice in a young child how they'll scream or rant and rave, you know, and then the next minute it's done and they're happy again, you know. And I think we're taught as children how much we're allowed to express. So if our parents were uncomfortable with big feelings, then we are uncomfortable with big feelings. And we have to unlearn that and allow those big feelings. Someone once said to me, you look at a person that's meditating and they look like they're so calm and collected, but there's a shit ton of stuff going on in there, you know? We're moving it all through, moving it all through. Mm-hmm. Cindy.
You started to say something and then you stopped and you backtracked. And so I'm going to ask, or I'm inspired to ask you for two definitions based on what you just shared. The first is this word frequency. And the second, you said the more energy we can hold. For some reason, that word hold relative to flow through lit up in me. So I'm wondering if you would share when you said that word frequency and then stop, what in this moment is the definition of frequency? And then when you said the more energy we can hold, what is meant by that word hold?
Frequency and intensity for me are very much the same thing. And hold is really actually a movement. So it's to recognize, allow, and then let move through. So the word hold is instantaneous. We don't hold on to it in any way. It comes up. We recognize it. In the instant that we recognize it, that's a holding, but then we let it go. So holding is maybe for an attosecond, right? 1
So it's
millionth
yeah.
of a trillionth of a second. It's the holding and the recognizing are the same thing. It's almost like, it's moving through, stop, I see it, and then it moves through again.
I'm glad I asked. So I got an next question. I won't be there at noon. Based on everything you just said, what's the difference between, so many of us in Western society, this is like a hold, right? So how do you distinguish holding from clinging?
I come with wholly empty hands. Holding just for a little bit, willing to hold whatever's there. Clinging is fear-based. So I'm not grasping. I'm willing to hold or to carry or to receive, right? To receive. So maybe my word holding is the wrong word. I'm receiving. Thank you for that, Cindy. I'm receiving the intensity of the emotion, the feeling, the thought. I'm receiving that intensity and letting it move through me. So when I'm standing in the center,
You can go ahead and turn your video off again. Really want to hear what you're saying. It's a great image.
can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I'm standing in the center of my knowing, being. I have my feet firmly planted in the sand, and the wave of emotion or feeling or thought can wash over me, and I don't fall. I stay with my feet firmly planted.
As I listen to you, this word holding for me, tell me if this sounds right with where you're sitting. It feels like what you're pointing to is how conscious can I be in this present moment? Just with what is right here, right now. What level of consciousness can I hold in this moment now without being pulled into the thoughts and the past and the future?
Yes, consciousness and awareness and presence and being, all the same thing. How can I stay as being in this present moment? Let's let Richard come to the head of the table.
Everybody, what comes to mind in this conversation is Eckhart Tolle said not long ago that holding your frequency and holding your frequency will help others who are suffering get through these turbulent times we're going through. Apparently, if you listen to all the YouTube videos or whatever, there's a shift going on the entire planet. And over the next year or a couple of years. So his instruction was hold your frequency and And what he was referring to, as I understand it, was frequency as you've heard me talk about Dr. Hawkins before, but for example, on this scale of we measure human consciousness, and if from 0 to 1,000 in this current density, and so in order to advance in consciousness, it has to be above 200. So, for example, victimhood is down around 60 hertz, but love is 528 hertz, and peace is 600 hertz out of 1,000. So, what I took the conversation to say, if you focus on holding your frequency at 500 or above during these turbulent times, you're not only helping yourself stay at peace, but you're helping the entire planet stay at peace, or raising the conscious. In other words, you're contributing to the raising of consciousness of everything in your awareness. So, even though it's illusory, it's still part of the dream. But if you can, since most of us experience ourselves as part of the dream and not the dreamer of the dream, and that's what we all try to deal with. I'm actually the dreamer of the dream, not the dream character. I think I am. So I resonated with that. Holding your frequency means I shared one on another meeting that Aaron Nappy had done the law of one and said, well, there are 7 densities in the law of one, and we're at density number 3. So he said, and density number 3, the 0 to 1,000 hertz is the frequency that Hawkins talked about. But if you took Hawkins and extended him out to the 7th density, it would probably be 20,000 hertz at the 7th density. So I like to think as a separate self. If I can hold my frequency from 600 hertz to 20,000 hertz, then I'm doing my contribution as a separate self within the world to raise the consciousness of the entire awareness, whatever it is, the universe is. I'm helping to keep it as peaceful as possible, realizing that it's all an illusion, it's all crazy, it's all chaos. So without getting into the reason why it's all chaos, which goes back to the lesson we were talking, who's upset? I can never be upset because I'm isness, I'm infinite. Only the separate self can be upset. So I've identified with the separate self again, which I continue to do. And that's my lesson. That's how I raise my frequency by realizing more and more, clearer and clearer. Like you were saying, it kind of like it feels like expansion of self, but the self is already expanded. I'm just allowing my limited mind to experience more and more of what I really am. And when I do that, my frequency goes up. And so I see my role in the next few years to be as high a frequency as I can be in order to help everyone. So I'm extending love by holding my frequency. Love you.
Love you too, Richard. That was a really great explanation. I do want to say one more thing. So using Richard Hawkins, the frequency of shame is about as low as you can get. right? And the frequency of love is as high as you can get. The frequency of love contains the frequency of shame, right? It contains all the frequencies below it. It holds them all, which gets back to Cindy's word hold. Right? So when we can hold or allow the frequency of shame to move through us and not attach to it, but just allow it to move, that in itself raises our frequency. Right? I'm suggesting that we don't just go to the frequency of love and then repress all the other frequencies, because that's a bypass. I'm not suggesting that we hold on or seek out experiences of shame or regret or sadness. I am suggesting that when they move into our field, for lack of a better word, that we allow them to move. Because that in itself raises our capacity to hold greater and greater frequency. And these are all just words. All just words. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for this space. I love us. I'll see those who can join at, is it at,
Hour
Rana,
and a
when
half.
are we meeting next? Noon?
Yeah.
12
Hour and a half.
noon Eastern.
12 noon for 12 stepping. Talk about craving. Love us.
Bye.